What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be continuing our coverage of Fantasy Flight Games' Marvel Champions, the card game, as we're going to be reviewing the latest expansion for the game, the Hulk Hero Pack. Now, this specific pack was designed by Michael Boggs and Caleb Grace. Now, Julie's going to tell you a little bit more about, Marvel Champions. I'll tell you more about Hulk.
So, it is a living card game. It's a cooperative. It is intended for ages 14 and above, plays 1 to 5, correct?
No, 4 players.
4, sorry.
At 5 players, no one ever want to play the game at 5 players.
It would probably be 5 hours.
Yes.
So on that note, plays in about 60 minutes. If you're playing 2 players, could play up to 3 hours or more if you're playing a higher play count.
Yes, we've definitely seen that. The recommended player count is about 2 to 3 players. That's what we've seen on Board Game Geek. Now, age range, especially with the Hulk pack.
Well, it says 14 and above. I think you could probably get away with, 12.
Yeah, I'd agree. 12 and above is probably the age range, unless you've been playing, card games like this for the last couple of years with your kids. They'll be fine. Now, what are you going to be doing in the Hulk expansion? Well, you're going to be doing Hulk Smash and trying to thwart the schemes of the villains, because if their scheme ever comes to fruition, you will lose the game. But this guy is definitely more about the punching bad guys in the face than using his brain. In any case, with that being said, Julie, what time is it?
It's time to grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend? Well, I think you're my best friend now. I might not after I play Hulk.
We're going to take a table one more time.
Yeah, let's get back to the table. Looking forward to punching some
Hulk
guys.
Smash.
Hulk Smash! Now we're going to take a quick look at the components for the Hulk Hero Pack expansion for Marvel Champions, the card game. Now, if you happen to watch our unboxing video for this, you may want to just go down below in the video description and skip ahead to the review. For those of you that haven't, well, we're going to dive into these components and talk a little bit about how Hulk plays. So we do get a new rule sheet. Now, there really isn't any new rules on this sheet, so that's good. It means that it's very easy to integrate into your Marvel Champions game, but new rules aren't necessarily bad. I love the spell deck for Doctor Strange, and Black Widow's abilities were new and cool as well. Now, on the back, we get this nice poster of Hulk, which I'll leave there because it just fills the space nicely. And let's start looking at the different cards. So, of course, we get the Hulk cards. We've got Hulk himself, who will have to discard his hand at the end of the turn. No thwart, 3 attack, 3 defense, so very strong. He's going to be smashing your enemies. Here we got Bruce Banner, who's a recovery of 4, and as an action you may draw 1 card, and then you choose and discard 1 card from your hand. You can do it once per round, and you notice he only has 4 cards, so keep that in mind when you're Hulk. Now, Crushing Blow lets you do an extra attack, and you can only use punch resources to spend the card. Hulk Smash will let you add +10 to your basic melee attack. Now, if you only use punch resources, you gain Overkill, meaning you can smash an enemy for like 5 damage. Well, that's not an enemy, but you get what I mean, and then do 5 damage to the villain. Suborbital Leap is how you're going to remove threat, either 3 or 5 threat, depending on how you paid for it. Thunderclap's your AoE, which will let you hit 3 different enemies for 3 damage. Unstoppable Force will let you ready Hulk so you can attack again, and you may draw a card if you use punch resources to pay for it. Limitless Strength just gives you 3 punch resources, which is awesome. Then you get Banner's Laboratory, so you do get +2 recovery, and when you exhaust it, you generate a science resource. Now, Boundless Rage, you get +1 attack, but if you change back to Puny Banner, well, you lose this card. And then as a movable object, you get +4 hit points, and Hulk gains Retaliate 1. Obviously, Hulk is an aggression character. I'm not quite sure how you play the Hulk as a justice or a leadership character, but I'm sure there'll be some fun combos that come out. So you do get Brawn, Sentry, and She-Hulk. These are your new allies. So Brawn, 1 thwart, 1 attack. After Brawn attacks, you get to remove 1 threat from a scheme. That's really good. Why bother with the 1 thwart then? Well, I guess as if there's nothing for you to attack. Sentry, 2 thwart, 3 attack. But when he comes into play, you have to take an encounter card. Now, She-Hulk, the more damage she takes, the more damage she can do. So you get +1 attack for each damage token here. You may want to start using her for thwart, and then you do some stronger hits later on. Drop kick, which is a new attack that you'll be able to do. Toe-to-toe, choose an enemy. The enemy will attack you, and you get to deal 5 damage to them. You'll pay for that, which is another thwart action. So after the villain attacks you, remove 1 threat from its scheme for each damage you took, up to 5. That's pretty cool. Power of aggression. And then martial prowess is the new skill. So you may play this on 1 per player and exhaust martial prowess to generate a punch resource for any attack action. So obviously as Hulk, you want anything that's going to give you more of those strength and punching resources. Of course, we need some threat reduction, so to the rescue ×3, move 2 threat from a scheme. Then everything else is what you'd expect with energy, genius, strength, the mansion, and the helicarrier. Now we do get inner demons as your obligation. So if you're Bruce Banner, you must discard 2 cards from your hand, then discard this obligation. If you're Hulk, you exhaust this hero to discard the obligation. You'll be facing off against the Abomination. So, force response, if he attacks you, you got to reveal the top card of your deck. Well, discard it. If there's a punch, you take an extra 2 damage. Now, threat cannot be discarded from the scheme of total destruction as long as Abomination's around. Now, his treachery is Clash of the Titans. The enemy with the highest attack attacks the hero or ally with the highest attack. The first player will decide. If no attack was made, the card gains Surge. Now, as always, we do get some cards that are not part of Hulk's deck that can be included into any deck that you want. We have the new Beat Cop, where you exhaust the card to remove 1 threat from a scheme, and as you build up scheme on the Beat Cop, you can then take the other action, which is deal 1 damage to a minion for each threat that's on it. You get the Inspiring Presence, which gives you a hero action of healing 1 damage from an ally and readying it, which is pretty cool. I like anything that'll let my ally stay in play longer. Makes sense, this is the leadership card. Then we get Electrostatic Armor for protection. So after you defend against an attack, deal 1 damage to the attacking character. And then Resourceful lets you discard it to generate a wild resource, which can of course be anything, meaning if it's in Hulk's deck, you can discard it to make a punch resource to get that extra punching power. So there you have it. We've gone through the components for the Hulk Hero Pack for Marvel Champions, the card game. Now, Julie and I will be coming at you with our review of this expansion. So the Hulk Hero Pack expansion for Marvel Champions, the card game. What did you think about this expansion? Or do you want to talk about the rules or lack thereof new rules for this?
Hulk smash!
Hulk.
I was looking forward.
Just had to do that. Sorry.
I've been having so much fun with She-Hulk. I was looking forward to the real deal with Hulk.
Oh, hey, She-Hulk's pretty powerful too, and she's smart, and she's a lawyer. I mean,
well, he's
a
scientist. He's
but
too.
She can actually be She-Hulk and go into the courtroom.
Okay, yeah, I'm not saying okay, let's rewind and remember that I don't read the comic books and she's not in any of the movies.
She's getting her own TV show, so you'll be happy.
There you go. So all that to say, I've been looking forward to Hulk coming in because I love those characters that can, just smash everything. So I was looking forward to it. He doesn't disappoint. He definitely smashes. He does a lot of damage. He's not a very complex character to play. It's pretty straightforward. And to the point you were just alluding to, a lot of the expansions that have come out recently have been, keep coming in with a more complete character. He maybe takes a little bit of a step back.
You mean more complex character adding rules, like the preparation cards, the spell cards for Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Yeah, he's definitely a step back in the rules regard, but, doesn't necessarily make him a lesser character.
You call it rules, I call it complexity or added things that you can do. He's very straightforward to play. I think any novice player could play this character. So that's an advantage for some, or some might find that disappointing compared to playing Doctor Strange. It depends what kind of game you like to play. Mm-hmm. That being said, I really enjoyed playing him. I thought he was a lot of fun. I did a lot of damage very quickly with his cards on the Goblin. It was lots of fun.
Yes. We played against Green Goblin on Risky Business a couple of times just to really test out what we were doing. Sorry for jumping in. I just wanted to clarify the situation.
So the only thing I would say as, the negative is he maybe doesn't thwart all that well.
No, the hero card, for those of you that actually looked at the components, has 0 thwart on it. Now, he does have 6 cards that can thwart in his deck. The real challenging thing about it is that the big thwart cards are pretty much going to take your whole hand. So unless you line it up with how Banner works with terms of cards and discarding, it'll be challenging.
Yeah, I still was able to do some in the play that we did, and I felt to hold my own. The only thing I would say is when you're playing this, especially if you're playing a 2-player game, take into consideration which other character is playing with Hulk, because we played Thor and Hulk together, and they're both very smashy, but they don't, especially when we're playing against Green Goblin. Thor's great at minions, and can thwart, especially when he has minions, right? So, or he's fighting.
Yeah,
minions.
you can get his deck going so that you're pulling guys over to you, you're smashing, you're doing lots of different
Green
stuff.
Goblin doesn't have, so I felt a little bit hand-tied in this one, but
the scenario, sorry to interrupt. The Green Goblin scenario was not the mutagenic one, which has tons of minions. It was the business-related one. So we're fighting more Norman Osborn than the Green Goblin himself.
Yeah, so Thor probably wasn't the best choice for that one. But we still managed to beat him, but it was...
On the last turn. It was literally, we win or we lose.
So all that to say, I don't have a lot more to say. This is Marvel Champions. It's Hulk. For me, if you're gonna have this game, you have to have the Hulk. You can't leave him beside, and I think he's definitely does not disappoint as the Hulk. So for me, it's a no-brainer.
Well, I think the problem with Hulk actually is the character might be too good. I've been trying to math this out in my head, but depending on the villain that you're fighting, there is a good chance that you can. I'm not sure exactly how much health Rhino has. I was thinking he only had about 11 or 12, but with the right set of cards from Hulk, you could actually potentially defeat Rhino in a solo game in 2 turns, I think. If not 2, it'd be 3 turns. Because with the right card getting Hulk Smash, you can literally deal 13 damage to a villain right off the bat. So in terms of most villains, that means that right set of cards, if you get Hulk Smash in your first 4 hands, you could potentially, you'd have to get it within your first 2, and then once again, within your next 2 hands, you could beat a villain in solo mode. Almost like that. So that's definitely a little bit of a disadvantage and something we talked about. I think it shows a little bit more with regards to Doctor Strange and Thor, just how badly these expansions are outpacing the villains. It's at the point where I don't think there's any point in playing standard mode for us anymore. We usually play standard primarily because we are trying to get reviews done, so under more of a time constraint, but I think going forward, we're definitely going to be playing in expert mode and trying to go through 3 sets of villain characters instead of just 2, just because of the way the character decks have been built. That being said, I think this is a fantastic expansion. The new aggression cards that you're getting are going to be a great addition. There's also the cards that are just added in, like the Beat Cop card for Justice, which is really cool. And as Julie said, this is Marvel Champions. I mean, most people are Marvel fans because of the Avengers, and he's one of the original Avengers. How can you not have this character in the game? Also, straightforward character with a solid deck, so I don't think anyone's going to have any complaints picking him up, throwing him in the game. The other thing is, we talked a little bit about complexity of characters. If you go back to our original review, I mean, you have characters like Iron Man and Black Panther that are really fun to play, but you have to build them properly. This is something that I would say, even though we talked about ages earlier on, you may be able to give this to someone that's even younger than 12 and get them in the game with this straight aggression build, because they're really just going to be attacking the villains and trying not to die, essentially. And once again, this is very thematic. We didn't talk a bit about the interruptibility. When you are Hulk, you have to discard your hand. You get no planning and foresight. And I think that, once again, the designers have really captured the essence of the Marvel character into this expansion pack. I believe that the next expansion coming is, we got Rise of the Red Skull, then a few more hero packs, followed by the Guardians of the Galaxy expansion coming. So really excited for that. But I think more so than anything else, we need some new villains. There's the Kang pack coming up next. So looking forward to getting that next expansion villain so that we can put some characters, some of these expansion characters up against them. Because as Julie mentioned, our game with Hulk as well with Captain America, who can handle threat. I mean, we pretty much had Norman Osborn stunned like most of the game. I don't think threat was ever more than 5 on the card. Like, we just had the game pretty much on lockdown. So excited to see what's coming next from the designers and from Fantasy Flight Games. So Julie, what is your score for the Hulk Hero Pack?
This is a definite solid 7.5.
7.5. Yeah, I gotta agree. I give it a 7.5 just because I almost went with an 8, but no new rules, solid expansion, and I'd say that just the way that it feels playing this against the current villains probably maybe lowered my score. I don't know if you'd agree with me on that.
Well, I think compared to what we had with Doctor Strange, this is not quite at the same level. So
No, that's true. It's definitely not as good an expansion as Doctor Strange.
it's still fun to play. I still think it should be part of, Marvel Champions if you have the game.
Excellent.
I think it's time to remind people to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
Also, down below in the video description, you can find links to all of our social media feeds. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I playing the Hulk, well, there'll be plenty of them there. Also, popping up in front of us will be links to some of our previously released video content. In front of me, you'll see a link to our most recent video. And in front of Julie, you will have a link to our review and how to play of Marvel Champions, the card game. So what's the last thing we got to do?
We gotta grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend.
Keep playing games.
Gonna keep playing games.
Definitely more of this.
Yeah, this is a game that if I don't get an expansion on time, I might get scolded.
Yep.